So my take is that if you're watching this, you obviously survived today's unbelievable non-event. And you're here for more. Man, I admire that. My name is Jeff Kohler. Some people call me the Option Addict from over at www.optionaddict.net. And I'm here this evening to offer a weekly watch list. If you've been reading some of my writings recently, my best advice to you earlier this week was to get short, to get out, to get some sushi, or to get some alcohol. Hopefully you've done at least a few of those things. Over the weekend and into early Monday, we saw that we had just a massive global market sell-off. Okay, panic ensuing that there's going to be the threat of a global recession, not just affecting the U.S. economy, but we also watched futures prices which pointed towards a substantially lower open today, which we saw the Dow Jones open as low as about 470, 480 points. And at the same time, the Federal Reserve comes in, saves the day, lowers rates by 0.75 points, and pushes the market higher, eventually leaving us sitting here with a non-event. Now, for some individuals, they're thinking that's a great thing. Me, on the other hand, I'm not so optimistic. I think next week we've got the Federal Reserve meeting again, and they're going to be forced to cut rates again, or at least that's what Fed Fund futures are telling me. And if you're looking to see spectacular earnings releases, which would be the last thing to keep the market afloat, it's not happening. In the after-hours market, Apple reporting a phenomenal quarter, but guiding lower, and of course sending the stock down about 12% after hours. I'm here on the chart of the Dow Jones Industrial Average. I'm going to point out a few things. You've probably seen this, but on the 5-year chart, for those of you that are fans of old Leonardo Fibonacci, you can see that today's action took us right to that 38.2% level. I know a lot of technicians are getting all antsy and all crazy over that. To me, it's just a line on a chart. I think it has the potential of breaking through it, just like it did back at the 23% line a few days prior. However, I think we would possibly see some stabilization here, but inevitably, in my opinion, I think we're going lower. I will also point out that for those of you that read my article I wrote on Forbes, or as we pointed out the head and shoulders formation here on the good old Dow Jones, we did achieve that price target, and we're sitting on it. So if you were short the market, this might be a good opportunity to take some short-term profits. And if you're sitting on the sidelines right now, or at least not investing as much capital as you normally do, that's probably a good thing. Anyway, enough of my ramblings here. You've gotten my opinion on what the market does from here, so let's start talking some stocks. In the realm of price patterns, I'm watching GHM as a head and shoulders formation. We already saw a break to the downside, and today we got a nice little retest back to the upside. So as you get pretty close to this old support, new resistance level, look to possibly get short this stock. I'm pretty certain it doesn't offer options. Even if it does, they're going to be illiquid. Don't trade them. If you're looking for a stock to short, this would be one to look at. I'm also still watching Legg Mason. I was watching this morning thinking that the lower open might have been what confirmed this broken support level, but as the day traded on, support held. So still watch the stock. If it breaks through $68 per share, look to buy some puts. No, I'm going over to Healthways, ticker symbol HWAY. I love this flag formation. For those of you that watch this spectacular breakout of this triangle formation, we're starting to flag to the downside. If we get a nice little breakout here, look for a pretty good move. I don't think it's going to be as quick as it was in the past, but look for a pretty gradual move up into the 70, maybe even the $80 range based on this flag formation. I'm also looking at Nile, ticker symbol NILE. We got a great move out of this. Last time it was on the watch list, which was last week. I'm looking at almost an identical setup. If you study the last 2 weeks' price action, it's basically the same thing. The stock's getting hit hard, and it continues to fall. So if this thing rolls back over again, look to get long some puts. I'm looking at RBA, and this is kind of a makeshift head and shoulders formation. You'll have to look really closely at this recent data to form that last shoulder, but we broke through that today, which would suggest we might see a pretty good reversal back down to, I'm thinking, in this low $60 range. And last but not least, REGN. No confirmation on this, but as you can see, it's clear as day. A nice little ascending triangle forming, and the stock still got some relative strength here. You know, it's holding up while the rest of the market is failing. Now, some stocks I might potentially be getting long here tomorrow morning, or at least later on this week. We'll start with Bally, BYI. You can see it's holding its prior gap pretty nicely, still within the context of its upward trend. I'm also looking at DBA. I love commodities. I love them, I love them, I love them. Not commodity companies, but commodities. And DBA, talked about this on the blog, being backed by actual futures of corn, soybeans, wheat, etc. So look at this here. Again, more relative strength, and if we're going to be buying calls in this market, that's what we want to see. Next is ticker symbol CVD. You guys know I love this stock. Again, closing price was right on this long-term trend line that has held for the last 8-9 months. If the stock, again, wants to rally into tomorrow, I think this might be a great opportunity to get long some calls right here, right now. Same thing goes for Genzyme, ticker symbol GENZ. Love this stock. And if you look at today's price action, closed right at this old resistance level. So that level did hold. The price pattern is still intact, and the price target still applies. Next is PPDI, and while I'm not too sure about the entry point here, a dip in this stock I love to see. If you look at it, it's going crazy. Based on group and its defensive nature, I think it's going to provide some great opportunities. So watch for a good entry point here. Next is PRXL, not one of my most liquid stocks. In fact, there's going to be a few of these on the list. You might want to watch out for that. If you're dealing with illiquid stocks, maybe look to get long or short stock as opposed to trading the options. But notice this stock dipped intraday down to its trend line, rallied back, so we got a nice little support bounce going on here. Also on my list, HUM. You'll notice this looks pretty close to CVD and the fact that it's coming right back down to support and it's holding. Even though there was a 6% sell-off today, if it stabilizes, I'm going to get long. Next, I got CPHD. Same thing, great bounce. Looks like almost like a flag formation here, if you will. And last but not least, ILMN. Not exactly the right time. It's probably going to trace back a little bit lower into the low 60 range. But if that happens, I think this is a great stock to get long if you're bullish on the market. Now, if you're like me and you're overall bearish, these are going to be some of the stocks I'm looking to buy some puts on. First and foremost, JCPenney. I didn't bite on the rally in financials and retail stocks today. In fact, I'm looking at that as an opportunity to get short. JCPenney is one on my list. I love to see swift moves to the upside and downward trending stocks like this. Gives me great opportunities and great low-risk entries to short or buy puts. So JCPenney, definitely on my list. Also is Expeditors, ticker symbol EXPD. If you look at this, again, same thing. We've got a nice little rally to the upside, and it's getting ready to roll back over. Also Amgen, ticker symbol AMGN. Same thing. Today it might have moved a little too much to the downside, down 4%. But if you notice, this is a nice little rally we like to see before the stock price curls down. Also MBI, ABK, MTG, all the bond insurers. I'm still loving these to the downside. I know that at least one of them is going bankrupt. So don't let today's price action fool you. I'm still short these stocks. I took off a little bit of my position, but I fully expect these stocks to get an awful lot closer to zero. BBT is also on my list. Another nice little rally in a downward trend. Goes without saying here. We'll look at MTB, which is a bank. Again, look at that right off the trend line. You're going to see a lot of these in banking and retail stocks. I didn't grab all of them, but if you want to look, there's plenty out there. Ticker symbol PNRA, Panera Bread, same thing. Coming off resistance, just sitting right there at 34. I like it. Tiffany, TIF, same thing. A little rally. If you look where it closed, it's right back to these old prior lows. So good low risk opportunity here. SWK is the next one. A rally, closed right when this little bear flag formation. I like it here. PVH, more retail. You'll see the exact same chart setup. KLAC is the next one. A nice little rally to the upside. We traded this one before. LRCX. Again, you're seeing these patterns. This is the same thing I look for in every stock that I trade. Last but not least, we're looking at FLIR. For a potential breakdown, it's trading right at support. This could be a pretty big reversal if it cracks below. You'll notice it tried to really hard intraday, but it still closed at support. But that's the kind of potential that it has if it gives way, so watch it. And last but not least, LIFC. Same thing. It's got a long way to go if it wants to break through 40. So that's my watch list for this week. Again, I don't necessarily endorse the fact that you hop in there and start trading hand over fist. But if you are going to be trading stocks, look for the relative strength or weakness that I've pointed out. And as always, ask yourself and try to learn why and study these market conditions and know exactly why these stocks are on the list and what's going on around you. Hopefully you're all intact and you'll be able to tell your kids one day that you all traded through a pretty significant bear market. So in the meantime, this is Jeff Kohler, the Option Addict. That's my watch list, and thank you so much for watching.
So that's what opening up a can of whoop-ass feels like.